Good afternoon, everyone. This is a virtual caucus meeting, special meeting. We had a 4 p.m. start. The clock is actually showing 4 p.m. May I have a roll call for the commencement of this virtual caucus meeting? Councilperson Ridley.
Here.
Councilperson Prinzeri.
Here.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Here.
Councilperson Yun will not be attending, correct?
Correct.
Councilperson Solomon. Here. Councilperson Robinson.
Here.
Councilperson Lavara will not be attending, am I correct?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. Councilperson Rivera.
He should be joining us.
Okay, well, I'm going to mark him absent until he,
Okay.
and Council President Waterman.
Here.
Okay, so we have 6 members in attendance at 4 p.m. for our very first virtual council caucus. This meeting was similarly disseminated on Thursday, March 19th, 2020 at 4 p.m. to the mayor, council, business administrator, and to the newspapers, and also posted on our website. And due to an effort to adhere to the social distancing protocols and best practices imposed by the city and state authorities, the city of Jersey City has canceled all public meetings and closed non-essential services as of March 16, 2020 until further notice. As a result, this council caucus will be held virtually as a video conference with public access. And to join a meeting, we have the link that was provided by our IT director, Bernadette. So I am going to now turn it over to our council president.
Hello, everyone. I hope everybody's staying safe. Sean,
Yes.
Just take it from the top. We can follow you better that way. Just take it from the top, read each one, and then if there's any questions after you read from the council, then I guess who's supposed to be in presence of the meeting, they can answer the questions, okay?
Sure
We'll
thing.
just take it from the top.
Very good. Sounds like a plan. Thank you, Council President. So we're going to go right to our first reading ordinances. Item 3.1, City Ordinance 20-030. It's an ordinance. I'm sorry?
No, nothing. Nothing.
Okay. It's an ordinance of the Jersey City, ordinance of the City of Jersey City in the County of Hudson, New Jersey, amending certain provisions of City Ordinance number 16-131, providing for the refunding of all or a portion of the city's general improvement bonds, taxable series 2010C, appropriating an amount not exceeding $8 million, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $8 million in general improvement refunding bonds of the City of Jersey City for financing the cost thereof. Any questions or comments on that? Hearing none.
Anyone? None. Go ahead.
Okay, hearing none. Moving on to the next item, item 3.2, City Ordinance 20-031. It's an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 9, Parking for the Disabled of the Jersey City Code. Any questions? Comments?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Designating a reserved parking space at 296 New York Avenue. It got cut off on my agenda. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm good. Any questions? None?
Okay. Any questions on petitions, communications from item 6.1 to 6.19? Hearing none, no office communications, reported directors, items 8.1 through 8.5. Hearing none, we'll also have our claims and addendum. I mean, just the claims. I don't know if anybody has any questions on any of the claims. Hearing none, we're going to move right on to the resolution. So item 10.1 is a resolution authorizing an emergency temporary appropriation. Any questions, comments?
But give us a second to look at it.
Sure.
All right. No question.
Okay. Item 10.2, resolution certifying compliance with NJSA 48:5-4, requiring governing body of every local unit to have made an annual audit of books, accounts, and financial transactions. Council members, this is the annual resolution that we do within 45 days of receipt of the annual audit.
So I have a question here.
Sure.
Have we received the audit? Because I don't recall it being provided either physically or electronically.
Is it not in that agenda item?
It's not an attachment to it, Brian. It's not.
Okay.
The council should have received their packet in either in their mail or electronically. I'm not sure how.
I will make sure that every council member gets a copy of the audit before the meeting.
I actually have it electronically too. I can send it to all of them, but they
Okay.
should have received that
If you
a
can do
lot
that, that'd be
earlier.
great. That'd be great.
Right.
Yeah.
We didn't receive it. We didn't receive it.
Yeah, I never got anything.
And sort of along those lines, can we set up a virtual meeting with the auditor in the near future to avoid, or maybe, I don't know if this has to move at this meeting or not, but I'd like to set up just a chance for the council to all have an ability to talk to the auditor, talk about well, obviously we'll have to read it, but whatever his report shows, and run through all of that.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. This one we do feel needs to move forward just because this deadline, we're not totally sure that it's going to be extended. We wanted to just make sure this was going forward, just to make sure that we were in compliance there. And yeah, we can definitely set up a meeting with the auditor. The auditor, the way it works usually is the auditor creates a list of findings, and then we address the findings as quickly as we can after that. But we can talk through all those findings if anyone has any questions on them at that meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know we're obviously all, focused on COVID stuff, but and Brian, but correct me if I'm wrong, this is the audit that would cover the calendar year 2019, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I'd love to kind of look at that, and then maybe we can work together to set that up sooner rather than later.
No problem. So Sean will send out a copy of the audit. Council members, feel free to take your time and review it, and then we can set up a meeting once everyone's ready.
Great.
Now, are these the same auditors that we use every year?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the same ones.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Item 10.3 is a resolution authorizing refunds due to overpayments for property tax accounts.
We have to go back to the agenda. It's not showing.
The producer will be changing that shortly.
All right.
Rich, you could go back and forth between your agendas.
Here.
It should be at the bottom of the page if you have it open already.
It's on. It's back.
It's up.
Okay.
So we're on the next one, which is item 10.3. Is that?
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, we felt it was an urgent need to make sure we were processing the property tax refunds, considering all the economic issues right now.
I agree.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. It says duplicate payments. Like, who makes a duplicate payment? How does that happen?
The duplicate payments are typically a bank or other third-party institution that's making the payments that aren't usually aware of changes that occur throughout the year. So, for example, if the assessment changes for the property, then and the bank is paying the same amount as before, but maybe it was an overpayment or an underpayment because they didn't know that the assessed value had changed. Also, there are instances where there are multiple owners in a given year with third-party payers of the taxes, and sometimes there's a duplicate because of that. It's usually not a property owner, the physical person who lives there making extra payments.
Okay, any other questions, comments? All right, hearing none. Item 10.4 is a resolution authorizing refunds due to overpayment for property tax accounts. Okay, on to the next one, it's item 10.5. It's a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Zolan Corp. MCO transmissions for the maintenance and repair services of light and medium vehicles under the state contract with the Department of Public Works Division of Automotive Maintenance. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Item 10.7 is a resolution authorizing refunds.
10.6.
Six.
Sorry, I skipped. I apologize. Item 10. I'm jumping, sorry. My eyes are playing tricks on me. 10.6 is a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City to enter into an agreement with the Jersey City Employment and Training Program, Inc., designating the JCEPP as the administrative entity for the Jersey City Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Area pursuant to the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act.
Just to clarify on this one, this is to accept funds for the previous year, not any future contracts or agreements. We will be doing a separate procurement process for that, but the city has essentially paid out funds for this, and this just allows us to accept that reimbursement from the state. So this is really just moving money around. I know there are a lot of questions and concerns around the actions and behaviors of the JCETP in general, and we are happy to have a separate meeting about that and discuss how to move forward and what we think we can do differently.
Okay, yeah, we'll set up a separate meeting for that, Brian, because I think we do have a lot of questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
no problem. And we can do that with Stacy and Catrice and anyone that the council wishes.
Okay.
Council President, there's one additional point I wanted to bring up from the law department perspective. The original agreement that was transmitted to the council on page 6 of 8 of the agreement had indemnification language where the city would indemnify JCEPT. The law department has recommended taking that paragraph out. It should not affect our ability to accept the grant funds. But just want to give you a heads up that's being taken out. So the version that will go to the council on Wednesday will not have indemnification language for the city to indemnify JCEPT.
Okay.
Nick, thanks for bringing that up because that had been on my mind. And obviously with all the COVID stuff, we've all been focused. But, you know, my understanding is, you know, every member of the council received a letter from the whistleblower, Nuria Sierra, I believe her name is. I could have gotten it wrong. And, you know, as part of that letter, she wrote that she was worried that JCEPT didn't have insurance because it didn't make the payments. And that were, you know, her lawsuit to proceed, you know, there might be true sort of financial, you know, instability here. So can you help us understand, you know, does JCEPT have insurance for this lawsuit? And, you know, can the city, you know, sort of step in here? Because just from a policy perspective, maybe policy is the wrong word, from a human perspective, I think this woman did the right thing, you know, called out, you know, genuine, potentially illegal and certainly unethical behavior, and, you know, got fired for it.
Well, I guess I'll address the second portion of what you said first. Is if the council chooses to do that, that would be a policy decision the council would want to make. From a legal perspective, I feel obligated to tell the council that, you know, anytime you're indemnifying an entity, you know, the sins of that entity come back to the council and to the city.
Right.
And obviously, it's given the current situation there, it's something I want to make sure the council's aware of. And that's why, based upon the recommendation of the law department, the administration took that paragraph out. If the council feels differently, we can have a conversation on whether that should go back in.
Yeah, Nick, I think we should have a closed session on this.
Yeah, let's have a closed session on that.
Yeah.
Well,
On the whole thing?
I think
No,
it's
on JCEPT itself.
Yeah.
guys, I think it's in our best interest to avoid closed sessions at this point because we're doing virtual meetings. So if you read the directive from the governor, his executive order, it basically says to try to stay away from going into closed session. I understand there's some items that you may want to discuss, but perhaps then we can maybe hold off on this resolution to the next meeting.
No, we can't. I think they need to get paid. I think this is an issue with payment here.
We do. There's a cash flow issue that we need to resolve with this, but maybe we can just hold off on the closed session until the state of emergency is lifted, maybe a couple of months, because I'm sure the issues aren't going to go anywhere.
No, I don't think so either.
So
Okay.
how do we, if the city makes the policy decision to indemnify JCEPT, how do we do that?
I'm not sure. It's an open legal question whether we do it in this particular agreement, whether it be retroactive. The one thing to keep in mind is this actually goes back to July 1st, 2019, going forward into 2020.
Right.
So even though you're ratifying it now, it's for a time period that goes backwards. And there have been some lawsuits filed against JSEP during that time period. So that's the concern I have as advising the council as to whether to include that language in.
So you're saying you don't think?
But in terms of what JSEP's posture is in terms of their insurance, we can certainly, I don't know it off the top of my head, but
I mean, does JSEP have insurance?
Find out for you and get back to you on that.
Yeah, because my concern, like, let's say they don't have insurance, they could get, they could be bankrupted, right? I mean, I don't want to, so it strikes me that there's a pretty tough kind of policy question here around if they have a series of lawsuits and no insurance, which is what she sort of reported in that letter, the entire this crucial city operation could be, at risk of not being able to function if they lose the lawsuits.
I think, just if I could just jump in, I think this might be something we might want to circle up with Stacy here, who's understandable right now, but maybe she can get us some answers on that question and we can get that to you. As far as any kind of litigation or anything of that nature, obviously JSEP has retained separate counsel, so we're not privy to any kind of, I would say, internal legal matters with regard to that organization.
Okay.
Now we got a biannual or 2 times a year audit. Have we done an audit? And if so, do we have a copy of it? On page 11 of 15, it talks about an audit. Doing an audit twice a year. Like, when is the last time we did an audit, and do we have that?
I think we have to meet with Stacy because I think they did an audit. I think Stacy had said that at one time. I think when it comes to JSEP, we definitely have to meet with her to give us an update of exactly what's going on. But I know this resolution here is for back payment for last year. And I know that organization now is hurting because they are not having received no funds since all these allegations. So we have to figure out what to do with JSEP, but I know this is back payment. So. Sean?
Yep. Any other questions or comments? Okay, moving on. Item 10.7 is a resolution authorizing refunds due to overpayments for property tax account. No comments or questions. Moving on to item 10.8 is a resolution awarding an emergency contract to Gateway Security, Inc. to provide armed and unarmed security guards on a month-to-month basis, not to exceed 3 months for the Department of Public Works Administrative Services. Any questions or comments?
No.
Okay, and the last resolution is item 10.9. You may not see it on your agenda, maybe your printed agenda if you printed it out before, but this is a resolution of the Municipal Council of Jersey City amending Resolution 19-943, the fixing of dates, times, and locations of the 2020 meetings of the Jersey City Council. Number 1, changing the location of the meetings from City Hall to a virtual meeting using teleconferencing technology to allow members of the council and the public to participate at the meetings from remote locations. And 2, provide a link and instructions to the public to allow their participation in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. So this basically, council members, is a resolution that's going to replace our annual notice resolution. So we don't have to send out a notice to the papers every single meeting. This is going to blanket cover all of the rest of the meetings until further notice. I'm going to send the papers a new annual notice, letting them know that we're going to have our meetings, our caucuses and council meetings virtually until further notice.
Okay.
Okay.
And to clarify the point, the state just, I believe Friday, or it may have even been over the weekend, passed legislation that essentially we were proactive, and I think with the, Sean and particularly Bernadette's help, we were able to get this solution up and running. But the state legislation tackled more or less precisely what we were planning to do as a, I'd say, workaround measure. And so this is all passed, state law, and it is compliant with the Open Public Meetings Act.
Any questions or comments?
Sean, let's hope
No.
that this whole situation doesn't last that long and we get back to normal.
I agree with you, Councilman.
Agreed.
I so too. I just want everybody to be safe. That's
Yeah.
So
But let me ask Peter a question. Could I ask Peter a question?
Sure.
I know we are in the process of budget hearings too. How will that
Yes.
affect the budget? Because I know we had to submit to the state a certain time and everything. And since the crisis, where do that put us as far as budget hearing? What can we do?
I would say, as far as timing goes, I might defer to Brian and John Metro from Finance as far as that goes. But as far as can the budget hearings take place in this format through the virtual public meetings, as far as I can tell, and Sean, maybe I would defer to you here a little bit as well. As far as I know, the answer is yes. We could go forward with those virtual budget hearings.
Yeah,
Hey,
we, just a comment on the deadlines. We are okay for now for the deadlines. The state has allowed a bit of a grace period
That's
for
right.
submission of the budget. We were already ahead of the curve when this all started, so we're not too worried about that. They almost always also grant additional extensions as needed. So when we submit in June, July, that's as we do in a typical year, that's already well beyond the deadline that we're supposed to quote unquote submit by according to state statute. But so we're not worried about that. It's just a question of how quickly the council wants to move forward and make changes and that sort of thing. I will advise though that because of the social distancing requirements in the state of emergency, there are a lot of changes to our revenues and also some of our expenses. So we may want to wait a few more weeks anyway to make any finalized votes on the budget. We could probably have budget hearings, but I think we want to just see how things are going a little bit before we finalize everything.
Okay. Okay, so you want us to wait just a couple of weeks before we resume the hearings?
We could
give us a better window?
Hearings, yeah. I mean, I think the hearings are fine. We would just want to wait for the submission of the budget for council final adoption.
Okay.
so if we're going to start scheduling budget hearings, we're going to have to do a new advertisement because we have to reschedule everything that we scheduled before. So we would, I think we should have a conversation with, I'll have a conversation with the council president and who we're going to, if we're going to reschedule what we had scheduled for the past week, and is to make sure that those directors are available to, or at least, if the director or the assistant director, someone who's going to be available to be, from home virtually.
Correct. Okay.
But we'll have a conversation about that.
Yeah, we'll have a conversation. All right.
Hold on, can I ask a question?
Yep.
Sure.
So I just wanted to clarify the public meeting guidance to the public and participation in the call. So just for the 5-minute public speaking, I guess it's a 3-minute public speaking time now. So there's an email address, and is our guidance to the public that you have to formally request through email that you want to speak, and then at the time we're giving them like a call-in number to come in? Could you just sort of walk me through how the open public comment is going to work?
So members of the public who are wishing to speak during the public speaking section may either email that address or call the regular number and sign themselves on the list, sign themselves up. The only difference is they will leave a phone number in addition to their name, and we will be calling them to link them directly into the meeting for their 5 minutes.
And are they able to do video as well, or just phone?
It's just phone. Just phone.
Okay.
We've had some legal issues and concerns with opening up the video to the public. Zoom has had some highly publicized prank video calls, so we're trying to avoid that kind of thing.
Okay, fair enough. And is the clerk's, is the main clerk's number still, is there someone manning that phone?
We have someone manning the phone. Actually, if they leave a voicemail, we're checking all voicemails, even remotely.
Okay, so I can, and that main number goes to a voicemail system, Sean?
Yes.
Okay. And then I know that we don't have any second reading ordinances at this meeting, but
Correct.
when we get the second reading, what's the sort of plan at that stage?
That's something I wanted to have a discussion on, because that's definitely different than, the number 5, the public speaking portion of the meeting. So, when we're at our regular council meetings, we're basically asking someone, well, all of the people, this is a public hearing on this ordinance, any member of the public wishing to be heard. And if no one says anything, so then we make a motion to close the public hearing. So I don't know how that's going to work, but Brian, maybe you can.
We have a couple options that we're still going to work through finalizing. We wanted to make sure the core of the meeting worked first, which is what we're doing right now. So, and we have another couple of meetings probably before we're going to need this. But there's a chat function in the window that people can type, I want to ask a question or speak on this ordinance or that sort of thing. And then also we're thinking about a call-in number as well. But we're going to finalize our guidance on that soon.
Okay, great. So then, I think, as long as we work it out, at least a week in advance of the meeting, so we can clearly tell the public how to do it. That makes sense. So the follow-up question. So the plastic bag ban that ordinance reform we had put on was going to be for second reading at the meeting that was canceled. I wouldn't suggest, just from my personal sense, at least in the next week or two, we vote on any, non-essential ordinances, just because the public is going to be distracted and we want to give them time. But do I have to sort of resubmit that now for first reading, or how does it work? Because the meeting it was supposed to be discussed that was sort of canceled.
Yeah, Sean, you can answer this.
Well, I was going to say we advertised that meeting, that ordinance in full, Councilperson Solomon. So, but for a public hearing to be held, on today. However, I would, whatever meeting that we intend to bring it to second reading, I would have to re-advertise it.
Okay, so I could just tell you, or as a council would say, look, April, May, we're in a better place. We're going to re-advertise it as a second reading.
We can do that, or if there's going to be some changes to it. I mean, I remember that there was some discussion.
Yeah. Okay.
If there's significant changes, I would make those significant changes, and then we can just reintroduce it.
Okay. I just wanted the mechanism to do that by.
It would be cleaner that way to reintroduce it.
Got it. Okay. Great.
Any other questions or comments from anyone?
No.
Before I take a motion, I would just like to thank everybody for their participation. And this is definitely a first of maybe a few that we're going to have to deal with. And we're as Jersey City being the second largest, maybe soon to be the largest municipality in the state, I think we did a great job. And I'd like to thank everybody involved, from our IT director, our business administrator, and all the council members. You guys made it work, and thank you so much.
Yeah,
Council President,
Yes.
you run a great meeting.
James, you have another question?
Not a question, just a quick comment. Yeah, to echo Sean, one, I just wanted to thank everybody for all the work, the hours you're putting in, and the whole city, right? Tons of people really working so hard. So I just wanted to make that public, and I'm sure everyone here feels the same. And then the other thing I just want to say is Councilman Lavaro, it was public with this, so I just wanted to wish him well. He's at Jersey City Medical Center now.
Why? What's wrong with him?
He put it there. There's a news story about it. I wouldn't say this if it wasn't public. But he's got a fever, and he's getting good medical care. So I just wanted to publicly wish him well, and we know he'll be back here ASAP.
All right.
But get well soon, Councilman.
Yes, feel well.
Michael, too. Get well.
Yes.
Yep.
Speedy recovery. Yes. So with that being said, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
4:30 PM.
You gotta do,
Motion made by Councilperson Prinzary,
Second.
second by Councilperson Ridley. On the motion to adjourn, Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary,
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano,
aye.
Councilperson Solomon,
Aye.
Councilperson Robinson,
Aye.
Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0 with council members Young, Lavaro, and Rivera absent. We are completed with our meeting at 4:30 PM. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a
Thanks,
great
everyone.
night.
John.
Stay safe.
Be safe, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
No
Stay
crap.
safe.